Our next guest helped fight the bad guys on TV as a superhero. Remember this?
Oh, a childhood favorite. I love that show. Now the Incredible Hulk, Lou Ferrigno, is becoming a real-life superhero as a New Mexico sheriff's deputy.
Actor Lou Ferrigno and bodybuilder joins us right now, and law enforcement official. Hey, Lou, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. That's quite an introduction. Show the Hulk is really pissed this morning.
Right. Yeah, well, you did. A lot of times, according to
he's angry.
Yeah. You ripped out of your shirt, and so Lou, and you were fighting against the bad guys. You've actually been doing that as a deputy for a while. Tell us how that plays into what you're talking about today.
Well, I've been a deputy for Los Angeles Sheriff Department for 15 years. I do a lot of work with the reserve as well because I want to give back to society because growing up, my father was the NYPD lieutenant for 26 years.
And now you're going to New Mexico to do what?
Well, basically, I do a lot of search and rescue. I teach weapons shooting, basically earning the public trust because growing up, I grew up with law enforcement. I always wanted to be part of being a deputy sheriff, especially with law enforcement today.
That's right. And I remember it's probably been 3 or 4 years ago. I think you were out in New Mexico helping Joe Arpaio for a while, or that's Arizona, helping secure the southern border, patrol the southern border. What did you do down there?
Well, basically, I don't get involved with immigration. I just show my support for the different sheriffs across the country. And then because it's a tough situation, because being a sheriff, you're under a microscope, and it's very difficult because people forget what it's like to be in that uniform and be in their shoe because it's dealing with crime situation and protecting life and property.
Mm-hmm. Lou, what's it like? What's the reaction from the folks when they realize who you are?
Well, it's funny, they recognize me, then they realize what they've done wrong to basically have the authority to tell them what to do. So when they see me in person, it's interesting because first they'll recognize me, they just say, oh my God, this is Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk and everything. But the fact that I've never had a problem, but people have a lot of respect for me, especially, being a sheriff.
Mm-hmm. First time you emerged for me was, and first time I saw your dad, we all saw Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger. As you look back, do you ever look back at that movie and think about what it did for your career and life? What are your reflections of it? Because Arnold spent the whole time playing with your head.
Well, back then, the public didn't know what bodybuilding was. But when Pumping Iron came out, it changed, revolutionized bodybuilding because myself, Arnold, we finally got in the mainstream. They showed the relationship between father and son. It was a tough movie to make, but it'll never be duplicated because it showed the beauty about what Pumping Iron really is, blood, sweat, and tears.
And while you went into the acting business and now you're in law enforcement, you're actually following in your father's footsteps. Tell us about your father and how he worked in the New York City Police Department.
Well, my dad was a tough police officer, so I used to watch him go on patrol, basically how he, there was a department. Growing up, I've always wanted to be an officer, so that's why growing up with him, especially getting the leadership and the trust for people, because people talk about him in the neighborhood, Officer Ferrigno. So it's a lot of respect. That's something I've wanted to earn for myself, because when you grow up with that, that's something you want to be as well, besides doing films.
Arnold, Lou, it's a shame because that's not the perception of law enforcement in many places today. Why?
Well, what was the question again?
The question, we don't have the perception of law enforcement the same way. The reputation has changed. Why?
It changed because everything is under iPhone video cameras, and people always get the wrong impression that sometimes the officers overreact. So it's so different today. You have to be so careful because that's why now we're monitored with cell phones and microphones to make sure that both sides, that we see what happened to both sides instead of just doing a one-way street. Yeah. It's very tough because once you're out there, you're putting your life on the line, and it's a big use of responsibility.
Lou, what's the best part about being a deputy?
Earning, showing my leadership, earning the public trust. That's why today we have the community policing. I do a lot of work on the reserve, especially again the trust, public trust, the respect. Because years ago the cops used to walk the beat. That's what we need today, especially when they're going around and getting the public trust, deal with crime situation, homeland security, homicides, and murders, and especially today with drugs. A big issue has to do with methamphetamine.
Lou Ferrigno, thanks so much. Best of luck.
Yes, thank you.
I'll be sworn in this Thursday at 5:30, Albuquerque Convention Center.
Congratulations.